Hello, welcome back everyone. We are excited to get sewing. If you did not tune in last week, you might want to go back and watch that video about the Mugs Quilt, the Mugs Quilt Sew Along, and grab your copy of this pattern from stitchsupplyco.com. Today what I'm going to do is walk you through sewing one of the blocks. I have picked the Fussy Cut mug block to sew. This is a traditionally pieced block, and we have 6 different traditionally pieced blocks in this pattern and 2 paper piece. So the paper piece videos will be coming up next. For now, we're going to work on the Fussy Cut mug block. And this is an example of one of them that I made, and I added a border around it. I will be probably turning this into a hot pad. So let's get started. I have a few of my supplies gathered here. And one thing I like to do when we get started is work on this design board. This is a Lori Holt design board. What it is basically the front of this is like quilt batting, so all the pieces stay on it. And I have laid out all my pieces that I have already cut out, and each of them have a little wonder clip from the pattern itself. I cut out an extra copy and cut it apart, and then just wonder clip all the little measurements on it so I can keep track. And before I start sewing, I like to lay everything out in the board where it belongs. So I already went ahead and did that. There are a couple, the cornered triangles. What I like to do with these is simply just lay the squares where they're gonna go on the pieces. And we have 4 of those for today. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and take off all the clips because I'm confident now that it's laid out. I have my pieces in order, and if I do question myself later on, I can just go back and measure the pieces. So Christina of Center Street Quilts did a fantastic job of walking you through in the pattern step by step, which really helps out and keeps things in order. I love that, and I do go through and read through the whole pattern before I start. Really, really helpful, so I encourage you to get in that habit as well. We set those aside. So what I like to do first is I have my straight foot on my machine, so I like to sew these corner pieces on, and we have 4 of those. So I will sew with the fabrics right side together from corner to corner. And I find with my machine, it's easier for me to start on the flat side. And rather than starting at the corner, if I start on the flat side, my machine doesn't try to eat the fabric. So I'm gonna start and sew there to there, and sew from here to here with my fabrics right side together. Again, just with the straight foot on my machine, and I'm not drawing a line. I think that a lot of people, when they first start, they draw a line from corner to corner, which is great. That is absolutely something you can do. Cluck Cluck Sew just came out with this product not too long ago. It is washi tape, which is a paper tape, kind of like masking tape, but a little different. Doesn't leave any residue on your machine. But it has and she has some great videos on her Instagram page as well, Cluck Cluck Sew. The red line right down the center, I line it up straight with the needle on my machine. After I have finished sewing from corner to corner using the Cluck Cluck Sew as the guide, what I like to do just with the scissors is simply snip off the outside corner and fold over. So we have our nice little stand. Do the same on the other side. And you could use a rotary cutter and a ruler, that is just fine. When I'm ironing these, I like to press the fabric towards, so the seam allowance is towards the pedestal at the bottom of the mug, the gingham, the orange gingham print in this case. So folding each of them down and pressing. And this will be the bottom of my mug that goes right there. So I'm going to now do that exact same thing with the side piece over here. With right sides together, sewing that again. And just like before, we'll trim off that extra edge and press. So that is the edge of our mug. Now I've done both of the squared corners that I wanted to do with my regular foot. So then I'm going to move and switch over to my 1/4 inch seam allowance for the rest of the pieces. And I just need to change the settings on my machine for that. And really from this point we can sew these in, because I have them laid out, I really can sew them in any order, or you can follow along with the pattern. Either way. I have to say I am not a pinner. I do not pin too often. Make sure I have it going the right direction. What I like to do is hold the pieces at the other end, pinching them and letting the machine do the work. And this one I'm going to press the fabric towards the base of the cup. The prints I'm using for this is Heather Ross, Puss in Boots, little nursery rhyme collection she did. And I'll sew the gingham on the top. Again, if you like to pin, that's awesome. Go for it. And for most of these, you can pin whichever, or you can press whichever direction you prefer. I am using this iron, Oliso iron that I got not too long ago, and I am really loving it. I have it on a dry setting right now. Typically I don't use steam. Between the nice iron and the wool pressing mat, I find that steam is not necessary. And this iron, I haven't actually ever used it with steam because I don't sew iron with steam very much, but I only have it on the medium setting. It is a very hot iron, which is fantastic. So I'll press those, and these I'm pressing towards, since my background is lighter, I like to press them towards the gingham print. And yes, I do tend to press every time. These might be little pieces, but they are great because we do not have too many seam allowances to match up. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. And the sewing machine that I'm sewing on is a Janome Skyline S7. I have had this machine now for, say, about 4 years. I love it, absolutely love it. It's been fantastic. I have not had any problems with it. I think it makes a really accurate seam allowance, quilts amazingly well. The dual feed foot is fantastic. Highly recommend. Okay, I'm almost there. We almost have one cute little mug handle. And I'm pressing all the seams one direction. None of them are open. So we have the 2 sides there. go ahead and add that handle on. And again, I'm not a pinner. I like to line up the top and then line up the bottom corners. And I'm going to press this one towards the mug. This one you might want to consider pressing open because there are a few different ways the block are turning there. And then we'll put the top on. I won't put the sashing on until I decide where they're going to lay in the quilt. Each block gets a sashing on the left and right sides, but I'm not sure where this one is going to go in the quilt, so we won't add it quite yet. And one last press. That didn't take too long. Here's our block. Hope you learned a couple little tricks along the way. Thanks, guys.